People get offended when they mistake the subject of a joke with the actual target.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily the same thing. You can make jokes about any subject. It depends what the joke is.
Yeah.
There's no rules. You can't joke about this. You can.
You should be able
You just
to.
can.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's nothing sacred.
Well, that's
really.
the point. There's nothing.
I saw him on the Olympic Games. It was decathlete. It was in everything. He was all over the place. Shot put and pole vault. He won a medal. He was famous. He was on telly all the time. But, you know, a big, famous man with a huge, I don't know, but I mean...
It's fair to say that navigating comedy today can feel a bit like walking through a minefield while juggling flaming bowling pins. Ricky Gervais, never one to hold back, has made it his personal mission to call out what he describes as the weird fascism of canceled culture. To Gervais, the idea that offense equals correctness is just plain ridiculous. And true to his blunt style, he's never apologized for a punchline. But Skinner isn't looking for controversy. His focus is simple: good vibes, not shock value. If I'm going to shock people, he mused, it'll just be that I'm still alive. Now that's comedy with a side of self-awareness. Perhaps Skinner and Gervais represent two sides of a comedic coin, proof that humor, whether gentle or bold, can thrive in any era. Listen up.
Whereas I didn't have to worry about offending anyone because it just happens, so... And the big controversy last time I did it was a Caitlyn Jenner joke, right? Oh, outrage on Twitter the next day. And by outrage, I mean a couple of people going, it was transphobic. It wasn't transphobic in the slightest. It was a joke about a trans person, but the joke had nothing to do with that aspect of her existence. And that's the other thing about offense. People get offended when they mistake the subject of a joke with the actual target, and they're not necessarily the same. I'll tell you the joke. You make your own minds up, right? So... It's live, so they go, and now your host for the 68th Annual Golden Globe Awards, please welcome Ricky Gervais. They come on, and they're all clapping, all the actors are looking up, smiling at me nervously. It's brilliant, right? So I just go, relax, I'm going to be nice tonight. I've changed. Not as much as Bruce Jenner. And I go, now Caitlyn Jenner, of course, and what a year she's had. Became a role model for trans people everywhere, bravely breaking down barriers and destroying stereotypes. She didn't do a lot for women drivers. So, that's a clever joke, and I'll tell you why, right? It's layered. No, listen, right? The subject of that joke is stereotypes. I'm playing with the notion of stereotypes, right? So I start off saying she's a real woman. Some would say a liberal, progressive attitude. Then I go, oh, if she's a real woman, I hit them with the old-fashioned reactionary stereotype. She must be a bad driver then, right? And the target of the joke is a celebrity killing someone in their car. Let's not forget that, shall we? A celebrity killing someone in their car, running home and popping on a dress. That's the target of the joke, just so we're clear, okay? She was interviewed about a week later at some press conference for a show she was launching, now cancelled. And the press were around and one of them said, what do you think of the Ricky Gervais joke? And she went, maybe I should host the Golden Globes, right? And they tweeted that and they atted me in because they want a celebrity feud, you know? It was clickbait, so I rose to the bait, obviously. I just sent back, let her host, just don't let her drive.
Ricky stomps straight through the eggshells, leaving a trail of hilarity and possibly a few broken egos in his wake. As other comedians are busy apologizing for things like parking tickets, Ricky is out there saying, why not double down? He is comparable to the chef who offers you spicy wings, well aware that you would perspire and like it. Comedy packaged in bubble wrap may be preferred by woke culture, but Ricky, his humor strikes a different chord because he tears that wrap open and declares, here's the truth. Laugh or don't. Comedy was designed to be bold, unvarnished, and a touch hazardous. Check this out.
The streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight,
Don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and off. Talented people of colour were snubbed in major categories. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The Hollywood foreign press are all very, very racist. So, fifth time. So, we were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. No. It was mostly white people. And I thought, nah, not on my watch. So, maybe next year.
Instead of simply wading into contentious situations, Ricky jumps right in, creating waves and beaming as everyone else grabs their life jackets. Ricky's comedy is more like a surprise chili pepper, bold, spicy, and unavoidable, while woke society attempts to offer you reality with a side of sanitized civility. He reminds us that laughing doesn't come with a safety manual while making fun of the ridiculous by transforming holy cows into hamburger patties. It is worth tasting because, yes, it is spicy.
I'm halfway there, to be honest. I'm sort of short with short legs and long arms. I sort of stoop like that. My back's getting hairier by the day. I've got fangs. I love nuts. Oh, I love nuts. And once I was at the zoo and I could tell people were looking at me, so I just started masturbating. So, I am a chimp, right? I am a chimp, if I say I'm a chimp. And so I've got to live as a chimp for a year, then have hormones, get me all nice and hairy. That'd be lovely, right? I'm going to stay a male chimp, so I can keep all that, right? A male heterosexual chimp, keep the same girlfriend. Jane will be happy. She loves me. She loves chimps, so, you know. And I reckon that's got to be easier for a man to turn into a chimp, we're so close, than for a man to turn into a woman in many ways. You know what I mean? A bit of hair and a top lip like that, as opposed to your cock and balls ripped off and a hole gouged out into... No, I'm not a doctor, but that is the gist of it. I know which one I'd rather have done, and I'm not saying I think chimps are better than women. No way.
Influencers. The philosophers of the modern era, armed with discount codes and selfie sticks. Like a samurai in a juice bar, Ricky Gervais enters this world with a smirk and a keen sense of humor, slicing through its absurdities. Who better to serve as our moral compass than someone whose resume features inspirational captions and miracle teas? Ricky's humor serves as a reminder that having more followers does not always translate into knowledge, and that these influencers can occasionally just affect the increase in eye rolls per minute. Listen up.
When someone says to me about another comedian, they say, oh, they're not funny. Even if I agree with them, I stand up and I say, well, you can't say that. You've got to say, you don't find them funny, you know. And I hate it when people say, that joke was offensive. I got to say, no, you've got to say, you found it offensive. Because it's all about feelings, and feelings are personal. And there's loads of types of comedy, and comedy evolves, you know. There's a new type of comedy at the moment called woke comedy, right? No, it's very progressive, you know. There are some clubs now where the comedian has to sign a thing saying he won't say anything contentious or he won't say anything that could offend anyone. It's a safe space for the audience, woke comedy. And I tried to watch a bit of it, and I decided I'd rather watch Louis C.K. masturbate. Can't mention him anymore, he's cancelled. Not enough to apologise and move on. You've got to...
And the big controversy last time I did it was a Caitlyn Jenner joke, right? Oh, outrage on Twitter the next day. And by outrage, I mean a couple of people going, it was transphobic. It wasn't transphobic in the slightest. It was a joke about a trans person, but the joke had nothing to do with that aspect of her existence. And that's the other thing about offence. People get offended when they mistake the subject of a joke with the actual target, and they're not necessarily the same. I'll tell you the joke, you make your own minds up. Right, so...
Ricky Gervais has never been one to play it safe, and that's precisely why he remains one of comedy's most unapologetically entertaining forces. Whether he's roasting celebrity fashion choices or challenging the sacred cows of modern culture, Ricky operates on a simple comedic principle: laughter first, feelings second. Take his recent zinger at the 2025 Grammy Awards. Twitter may have combusted, but Ricky? He was probably enjoying a pint, unfazed. His humor thrives on cutting through the fluff, reminding us that life, like comedy, doesn't come with padded corners. While critics wring their hands over what is or isn't appropriate, Ricky's fans cheer him on, knowing that true comedy isn't about avoiding offense. It's about holding up a mirror, no matter how hilariously unflattering the reflection may be. Love him or loathe him, there's no denying that Gervais keeps the laughter raw, real, and refreshingly untamed. Watch this.
But if you're the type of person to revel in someone getting cancelled for something they said 10 years ago, you're just ensuring that one day you'll be cancelled for something you said today. You can't predict what will be offensive in the future. You don't know who the dominant mob will be. You know, like the worst thing you can say today, get you cancelled on Twitter, death threats, whatever. The worst thing you can say today is, women don't have penises, right? Now, no one saw that coming. There are no 10-year-old tweets of people saying, you won't find a 10-year-old tweet of someone saying women don't have penises. Do you know why? We didn't think we fucking had to.
With all the dexterity of a wrecking ball, Ricky Gervais is able to turn the peculiarities of woke culture into comedic gold. Diversity is important. No rational person contests that. But Ricky wryly points out how some people go too far with it, such as insisting on equal representation even in cemeteries. His humor serves as a welcome dose of candor, reminding us that not everything requires a comprehensive moral study or a checklist. Sometimes the beauty and the belly laughs lies in the fact that a joke is simply that, a joke. And that's a wrap. Love him or hate him, Ricky Gervais continues to prove that comedy doesn't have to play by anyone's rules. His sharp wit and fearless approach remind us that laughter can be bold, uncomfortable, and honest all at once. In a world tiptoeing on eggshells, Ricky's stomping around with a big grin, and honestly, it's refreshing. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Keep laughing, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.